Hello, good evening, welcome. I am Jones Usen. Now today on the program, Tinubu urges Buhari to do more to ease the sufferings of Nigerians. CNPP calls for credible Anambra elections, comments INEC's preparations, and of course later on we'll look at Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe digging in as Buhari urges him to respect the Constitution. Now I'm hanging out with Kolade Otitoju. As a matter of fact, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. I'm sorry.
It's my name.
Oh, no, it's all right. And then we have Charles Ideho. Charles, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, then. The national leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on Thursday urged President Muhammadu Buhari to urgently arrest the suffering in the land while applauding the giant strides made in the last 2 years of APC rule. He noted that far too many Nigerians were living below the poverty line and wants this stemmed as soon as possible. Gentlemen, Jide, let's begin with you. When you hear things like Nigerians are the most happy people on the planet in spite of suffering in the land, so you wonder who's saying what? I wonder if you've heard that.
No, we do not deserve to be the happiest on earth. There are places in the world where you don't pay your children's school fees, government takes it up, government provides shelter, you know, at highly subsidized rates. There are places where you don't pay school fees at all. A governor once said that education is the cheapest in Nigeria, but he probably hadn't been to the Scandinavian countries where education, at any level, it is free. So how can you say education where it is free at every level can be less expensive than it is in Nigeria, or can be more expensive than education is in Nigeria? So I don't think that we deserve to be the happiest people on earth. I don't think that after that survey that placed us on top of the happiest people on earth, I don't think we've been able to retain that title, which in my view means that they didn't get it right that time.
Charles, yeah. It may not have boiled over, you know. You're wondering, at a time like this, you're wondering if Nigerians are an elastic people.
Well, so it seems, because most of the things we're going through here in Nigeria, there have been countries that didn't even go this length, and then the implosion and explosion, both of them took place. Let's talk about. You remember the Arab Spring that started from Algeria? You remember that young man that set himself ablaze? Yeah. We found people who didn't set this up, but they took a dive into the ocean. I mean, committed suicide. The man who did that in Tunisia was also suicide.
But have you heard things like, oh, they dived into the ocean because somebody in the family...
We have heard that.
But that's again, typically Nigeria.
It's typically Nigeria. But you know, the thing is that when things like that happen, people always want to blame it on spiritual forces, thereby taking people's mind away from the economic realities on ground. Because the young man who took a dive in the lagoon, if he had better life, you probably wouldn't have done that. Because it's when you have areas where you are suffering, you look somewhere you can't get any respite. Your children, as Jiri mentioned about this, was school fees. You can't get out of the quagmire. Then the next thing to do is to take the easier way. So as I think the elastic, we have interminable elastic in Nigeria. That's why I say it, because we have been driven to the wall, and then what do we do? Instead of fighting back, we usually break the wall and then
but after listening to that, in a country where you have, it is said, private planes are mostly in Nigeria.
That's right.
So where's the poverty coming from?
Well, the poverty can still be endemic if only a small proportion of our people are living in affluence. You know, the wealth is not sufficiently distributed.
Okay.
You know, if it's properly distributed, then everyone will be happy. But that's not the situation here. You need to, I was talking about the Northeast, and I said there are people in the Northeast who have never owned 1,000 naira in their lives.
You never even seen it.
Owned it, owned 1,000 naira. So it is that bad. But there are people here who have money and always have the desire to waste it. Apologies to Falls, the musician son of Falana. You know, he said, I have money, I even feel like wasting it. There are people like that who have so much money, they don't know what to do with it, that every time they are gripped with the urge to even waste it and show off with it. But there are people who are suffering unbearable pain in our country. These are the people that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu was talking about. That something has to be done. And it's not the first time it's intervening on the side of the poor. Remember when the Minister of State for Petroleum, when he couldn't fix the problem of fuel scarcity, was taking time. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu attacked him in a very uncommon manner. Because at the end of the day, these were the people who went around the country to campaign.
To campaign and make promises.
So at that time, the minister was somewhere else, was not in this country. So if the government failed, it is people like Tinubu who went into the sun to campaign that Nigerians will attack. Nobody will talk about the minister. People will talk about Buhari. They will talk about Osinbajo and other people because they represent the face of that change that happened. So he had to intervene. He had to tell me that, look, solve this problem. What are you doing? And thankfully, that problem was solved. So it's not the first time that he's talking about the need for us to do something about the poor in our midst.
Now, Charles, in the media, it is said the medium is the message.
That's right.
You look at the medium, the occasion was auspicious enough.
Very auspicious.
It was the launching, the presentation of a book, and the book, Making Steady, Sustainable Progress for Nigeria's Peace and Prosperity.
The midterm report of the performance.
So the who is who was there.
That's right.
So the message is expected to have
it's very timely. No, it's very timely. And particularly when you are approaching an election year but one, you have one in between. Because as Nigeria has said, these were the people that were very visible in the planned change. And you can liken what they suffer in Nigeria right now to a prisoner had been in jail for about 10 years. Then you promise to release him the following day. So you're promising today, so you know exactly the excitement will make him want to live today. Yeah. So no, you will not think about the 9 years he has suffered. That's exactly what where we are. Because the promises that were made during the campaigns, they were very, very genuine. And people also hung on these promises to say, okay, especially the antecedent of Buhari, people knew him, who he was in the first stanza when he came into the Nigerian polity. So people thought that when this government, they won election for the very first time. I mean, it never happened in the history of the nation that you are finding an opposition party winning. But people thought that they were going to match the action with the word they had. But we still had the issue of, I think we're still floundering, so to speak. So that's why I said that avenue, is very, very jamming, because a lot of ears who are supposed to be within the government, they were listening at it. Yes. But the question I asked is that he has spoken. It was like a State of Nation address, which is supposed to be good. But the question is that the people to whom he spoke, how they have heard, are they ready to do what is in this?
Jide, you have to help me here. A cynic once said, to err is human, not to blame it on the other man is humane. So must we keep blaming the other man?
No, you see, the point is, because Nigerians have suffered for too long, they are impatient to see results. And if you really want to bring about change, lasting change, the kind of change that will turn around the fortunes of our people, you have to be patient. You see, the Chinese bamboo tree, when it's planted, it takes 5 years. For it to even get out of the ground.
Okay.
But once it comes out after 5 years,
there's no stopping.
It grows up to 25 meters. You know, so that is the way I expect Nigerians to view things. because the damage done over the years. Look, we are talking about progress in rice production and all that. All these years, we didn't think about growing our own food because we've been used to spending hard-hand foreign exchange to bring in what we have in abundance. Right. What it has pleased God to give us in abundance, we prefer to go and import from abroad, including even
deliberate? Is this deliberate?
No, it's just carelessness.
Yes, it is deliberate because they were making money from it.
No, the thing is, if a government was not careless, if a government was forward-looking, it would tell itself that it makes no sense to be investing foreign exchange on producing food that we can grow here in abundance.
Yeah.
So that's why I said the carelessness, they couldn't care about such things. They thought such things were little things. They also talked that, okay, the boom time will remain forever. All it took was a slide in oil prices, and we began to experience real difficulty as a country.
Charles, the rent seekers are all over the place. Right. So when you talk about suffering in the land, you won't be making any top impression on them. The folks who are gaining by the system and from the system, and so won't see what you're seeing.
That's right, and that's particularly very, very saddening because
and they are in a,
very minute. It's just like the Pareto, what do you call that Pareto, where you have 20% and 80%. Oh, yeah. They are within the 20%. And then even this government, the government that just we have now, a lot of people have also broken into that circle of the rent seekers, you have mentioned it. Because you find that where you have this issue of getting contracts here and there are people who are feeding fat to the detriment of the generality of the people who are suffering. And these are the people that Tinubu is talking about now, that the majority of people who have not even seen 1,000 naira for the past 1 year. So the rent seekers couldn't care about them because if the government decides to do anything that will benefit everybody, they will lose out.
Yes.
And because it's capitalism. Capitalism sometimes is evil if it's not well played. And they want to remain there so that that Kabbalistic tendency that's always hedging them on will continue, because if you break them, if you break it to now make the thing to become widespread, everybody now begin to enjoy, then that glory days they enjoy, that
come to an end.
Will come to an end, and they don't want that. So that's
they will be in the desert.
Exactly.
Jide, we cannot fail to talk about it. Power is at the base of our troubles. We broached it, I think, sometime last week, when we said Mambila Plateau is harboring a potential 3.050 megawatts of, which can light up the north.
The entire north.
We haven't. If you give electricity, even if it is 20 hours a day, the poverty level will go down
by default.
You see, talking about electricity, it's unfortunate that because we didn't get some aspects of the privatization rights, we are facing real problems. Our problem is not generation. Our problem is largely distribution and partly transmission. As I speak now, at installed capacity, the power plants have the capacity to generate 13.780 megawatts. 13,000
really
780 megawatts. But today, we are only able to distribute 4,900 megawatts because the distribution companies do not have the capacity to take all the load coming from the Gencos.
Right.
They can't. They just don't have the capacity. So going forward, that is an area that we have to address, because even if we go to Mambila and we complete that project in the projected 6 years, and it gives us 4,000 megawatts at peak rainy season,
and can't
distribute it.
That's why
can't be transmitted.
Then also, when you talk about the poor people, the poor people need this electricity the most for their survival, for their little companies.
We'll continue after the break, but please stay with us.
My name is Abdullahi Umar Ganouji, the governor of Kano State. I do watch journalists carrying out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
Okay then, welcome back. Let's keep talking poverty in the land. And the national leader of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, says to Mr. President, try and end suffering in the land. Gentlemen, we were talking about electricity generation, distribution, and transmission.
That's right.
So it's key here. We must go back to it.
Yes, the people, the businesses can only survive on constant electricity supply. You go to places like Sharada, Chalawa, and Kano, you go to Ikeja, you go to Apapa, where we used to have all these big companies.
Yes.
A lot of them are dead. Big companies dead, now taken over and converted to churches. Warehouses of those big companies have been converted to churches because they are not producing anything.
And sorry, we had over 100 and how many textile factories?
That's gone.
One of the heaviest employers of labor.
Yes.
No,
yes.
it is. In any economy.
Oshomole is a product of a textile company. It was a PRO of Arewa Textiles in Kaduna. So today, and they will employ so many people. But those textile companies are dead. If someone did a story on those textile companies in Kaduna, in Kakuri, and other places in Kaduna, they've been overtaken by weeds. Some of them, you see puddles of water and all that, because they've been neglected, they no longer work. They cannot produce any textile anymore.
Jide, you have hit Abubakar in Kano. He's here. Abubakar, how are you?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I congratulate you, especially Mr. Jide. I think he's telling the truth. I'm speaking from Kano.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, Bola Tinubu, I really reckon him as a leader because he comes out and tells Mr. President that, look, you have to do something to save the people that voted for you. They take the pains of mourning, hunger, thirsty to vote for you. You promised them. And as he said, there is hunger in the nation all over. I think the only system that works, with due respect to the military, is the only military section that is capable of doing things. Otherwise, go to schools, go to hospitals, go to roads, electricity, as I mentioned. If you come to Kano, you go to Sharada, you go to Chalawa, you go to Bampai area, it is amazing. You will even cry, for inactivity. And this leads to social vices, kidnapping, whatever sort of crimes are committed because the youth have nothing doing. They are hungry. They want to eat. They want shelter. They want to enjoy.
My brother, we got you first time. Many thanks. Yeah, we got you first time.
Yeah. So you know that
it said. Sorry, John Lennon said, "There's nothing like being crippled inside."
That's right.
If you're crippled inside, then all is gone.
All is gone. So even just to expand even the argument concerning the importance of textile industries in any economy, that is a well-funded. No, what I'm saying. Look at just a single textile factory can absorb about 5,000 youths because because of the value chain. You have the spinners, you have the weavers, you have those. So if you have about 20 or such times 5,000, do you know how many youths are going to remove from the system?
Yeah, from the streets.
From the street, from the street.
If you go to Kaduna, if you see big communities, those big communities like Kakuri, the people living in Kakuri were largely textile workers.
Textile workers.
Because of the presence of textile farms around the area. So, and they had dependents, they had people, the textile farms also generated other businesses.
That's what I'm saying, because you have the wool, you have those who are going to be the planters, the harvesters.
Yes.
Look, it's a large industry that we have neglected. People are talking about it, no matter how much of this Bretton Woods institution.
Do you know that Dangote used to have the 4th largest textile mill in Nigeria? I saw Dangote in 2011. And I asked him, I said, why did you close?
Why did you close down?
He looked at me like I'm a fool.
As if you're not in Nigeria.
He said, oh, you want me to continue that company? When the biggest smugglers of textile products, Voiles and the rest of them were friends of the people in government. He just looked at me like I wasn't serious and walked away.
So, which means power is not only the thing, the issue of
No, it's massive
when they bring
smuggling.
in these things,
Power is at the base.
Exactly.
Then other things will grow on
You will
power.
grow, exactly, because take a look at this, what you mentioned about the activities of...
That's why he veered into
other areas.
noodles and the rest.
Yes, exactly. He has even sold even the noodles.
He knows that you must eat. So it's into, it's into salt. He knows that you must drink tea and other things. He went into sugar.
And
so
he must build houses.
So he went into cement. That's why he's the richest man in Africa.
Exactly.
So, you know, I'm just painting a mental picture of what Mr. President is likely to do from here. Can you pick his brain?
Yeah, you know, Mr. President, if I listen to the Minister of Finance very well, she said that they will look at the economic model of Lagos State. Because Lagos has been a success story, you know, whether anyone likes it or not. And so Mr. President will be looking at how he can continue to pick the brain of people like Tinubu, because Tinubu caused change to happen in this country. Some of what happened in Lagos represented first in Nigerian history. And then you have Lagos IGR consistently growing. You know, that it's like there's no limit. So he will be talking to his friend. I'm happy seeing both men together more frequently than before. Which means that they've been able to reconcile and become good friends once again.
Algeria is on the line, and Samuel is here. Samuel, how are you? Welcome.
I think it's TV. It's TV.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a delay in a manner of speaking.
Hello?
Yeah, how are you, sir?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, Samuel, welcome.
Yeah, good evening.
You're on now.
We can hear you.
Okay. Good evening to Baba Jide and the other man.
And Charles, go on, please.
Charles.
Time.
I want to congratulate you with the work you are doing on this television station.
Thank you.
So,
thank you. We want to do more. Yeah.
Nigeria has come of age because it has been a long time.
He's been listening to himself.
Better luck next time. Better luck next time.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm saying that I'm happy to see both men, you know, together again.
More frequently.
And for people who are happy that it appeared that both men had a disagreement, they are making a show of being seen in each other's company now.
Even if it was showboating.
Well, whatever, but it's happening.
It's very significant because Tinubu went round to campaign for Buhari. So it renews the faith of his own supporters that supported Buhari to ensure that Buhari won, when they see that Tinubu is committed to this cause, when they see Tinubu coming up with the right advice that can take our country, you know, to the next level. He was saying something that it's time to lead our people to a place where poverty is infrequent.
I saw that.
You know, and he was saying that the young people who represent the future of our country, the promise of our country, that something must be done for them.
And time is of the essence.
And time is of the essence.
So the president, I'm sure, will respond positively to this.
Charles, if the president does respond now, nobody will think it is politics.
But why should anybody think about if he responds and then people begin to get the good things of life, would anybody remember politics?
No.
They would remember politics because exactly what we're looking at, whether they like Tinubu or not, whether they like president or not, if there are policies that have human face and people are beginning to get the
benefits
good
of those policies.
nobody remember politics. Look, Nigerians really don't have
We are not difficult to please as a people. We are not difficult to please.
Look, I'm telling you, all these issues we are talking about a particular section of the country, you have so many appointees. If the appointees are able to play to the absolutely how it's supposed to be, people are beginning to get the good.
They become heroes.
They will remember anything. That's it.
Jide, and we are not a difficult people to lead.
Yes. Of course,
we are people willing to be led.
Exactly.
Yes. And once Nigerians like you, once you've impressed the Nigerian people, it will be extremely difficult for anybody to drag them away from you, because the Nigerians are very loyal to their leaders, to their true heroes. They are very loyal. That's why you see people day and night. Look at that woman, that old woman who donated her life savings to Buhari, because she's been a Buhari follower for years, and she was seeing history about to be made before her eyes, and she donated her life savings because she invested her hope on Buhari. So I'm happy that anything that will make life meaningful for the poor people, Buhari takes it seriously, and that's why we've seen all those monies that is releasing to states in form of bailouts, because he doesn't want people to suffer.
Yeah, okay, let me take us to Bida, that's in Niger State. Abubakar Musa is here. How are you, Abubakar? Abubakar, are you with us?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, Abubakar.
Yes, Abubakar.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
I must commend your effort for this program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I commend Mr. Bola Tinubu. In fact,
Go on.
It's the position taken by him demonstrates the fact that it's an elder statesman who wants to empower the next generation. In fact, there is a lot that needs to be done to reduce the poverty level by ensuring that our industries produce to meet up with our demand. Because by the time the industry are producing, a lot of jobs will be created.
Okay.
But it's very unfortunate that most of the investment in capital, most of the capital investment are going towards construction.
Okay.
Not critical sectors of the economy.
Yeah. Again, we got you first time. Time is our constraint, but we want to thank you very kindly. Final take.
Well, mine is that first of all, what he has said is very, very germane. It's also very timely. It's also very necessary that he talked about like this. But the only thing I want to know, let the government just take the cue from there, pick it up, and develop it as a model to help the poor.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm happy that he not only told the president what needs to be done to reduce, to ease the pains of the Nigerian people, he also offered hope by saying gripping poverty should turn to fertile progress. Right. I mean, it's my take from that keynote address by him.
All right, folks, we must leave it there, but not before sharing this quote from Chinua Achebe. He said, when suffering knocks at your door and you say to it, there's no seat here, poverty tells you, don't worry, I've come with my stool. So we can't do something from here. Now, after this break, we'll take you to Anambra State, and you must know why. All right, then, welcome back. The Conference of Nigeria Political Parties, CNPP, has given thumbs up to INEC ahead of Saturday governorship election in Anambra. It cautions, though, that the process must not be muddled up in any way. The umbrella body of all registered political parties and associations, through its Secretary General, Willie Ezugu, wants every stakeholder to ensure a hitch-free exercise. Jide, we can have a hitch-free exercise.
Of course we can.
Thankfully, this is a staggered election. But look at this. Anambra, 21 local governments, 37 aspirants, but one governorship seat on offer. So it's a battle royale.
Yeah, it's a battle and a tough one, especially among the three top parties.
You've reduced it to 3.
Well, they used to be 5, but after that debate,
it will be a three-way battle, the way I see it. And this is a very, very unpredictable race. Unpredictable. Many things...
So incumbency has nothing to do here?
No, not in this election.
It might play.
Not
it
that.
Might. It might play.
It won't be a factor.
It might.
Because it won't be a factor. if Obiano wins, it will be because he deserved to win. It will be because he worked harder than others. It won't be because he's incumbent.
But he has befriended the civil service.
Harder, sorry, let me get it right. Worked harder at electioneering or working for the people.
Yes.
But he has something to bring.
Okay.
At selling his own ideas and all that.
So
because
that's what you mean by work harder.
Yes, in terms of reaching the electorate, because it's all about them. You see, the thing, when we talk about the civil servants, they are not the only people who constitute the country. In fact, they are a minute percentage of the population. The people, the traders, the artisans, everyone matters in an election. You cannot leave any voting bloc behind. Now, in this race, as you can see, even the PDP, because PDP had always been strong in that state, and they produce so many lawmakers, the PDP would want to do well in this election. The APC is also an incumbent, a different kind of incumbent because it's an incumbent at the center. Right. So there are two incumbents that we are talking about. Metaphorically, the APC is an incumbent. And then the president came to campaign. It's significant. The president came to campaign for this fellow, and the party, the many big wigs have defected into the APC from both the PDP and the ABGA. It is also significant, although that in itself does not guarantee victory.
Because they have only just a single vote each.
So now, at the end of the day, what matters, what we want to see is a free and fair election. An election that the losers will feel free to congratulate the winner. Yeah. But if the process is not transparent,
join in building
the state. But if the process is not transparent, there will be a reluctance on their part to say congratulations. You know, so but we must keep working on our electoral process. It must not remain the case that once there's an election, we start thinking that the incumbent must win, or the incumbent has resources to
and if he doesn't win, you say it was outplayed.
What must happen is the view of our people as expressed, the position of our people as expressed with their votes is what must prevail.
Yeah, but that's where the rub is. Let the ballot, every ballot count. It is said casting the ballot is not the issue.
Counting the ballot. That's why it doesn't count in most cases. Well, I think, first of all, let me also say between the last election, the 2015 and now, when you look at the staggered elections that we had, though not really, we wouldn't say it was seamless. It wouldn't say Ondo was seamless. But we made significant gains. When you take a look at how elections have been in the past, from 1999 to 2003, 2007. But this, I mean, presently we made a lot of gains. All the APC government now at the center, because when elections don't go well, the government will be blamed to say, oh, they want, especially as APCs at the center, as Jide has said. Yeah. But you see, I want to also look at where we're talking about is a 3-horse race. Obiano right now, I lived in Anambra before. When you are able to bring some measure of development to communities, you have touched their soul, which this man has done. All the communities around Anambra, what he has done is that I think about each of them has about a budget of about 140 million or so for any project. And he has even told them if he is re-elected, it will increase to about 200 million. That alone is like dangling a carrot before them. So then
it's up to them to
now
be impressed by it.
So but what I'm saying that the CNPP, what they have said is very timely as well. What the government needs to do is that they must continue to enjoy very, very good image. They must take it from where Jega left it and improve on it.
Just quickly before I move to Jide. Thankfully, the issue has been settled, that of the so-called removing of security details. It was just the ADC.
Yes. ADC and then the CSCSO, which they said they were even sent to Oka for a lecture, and they returned the same day.
There was no need, no.
So, but all that
it was after the president intervened that we started.
It was just that they were not trying to do damage control.
Yeah. Jide, let's talk about some key factors. Number one, IPOB, the thread.
Yeah, I don't think the IPOB has the capacity to disrupt this election. IPOB has been driven underground by Burate and his boys. In fact, there was a cartoon that I saw on Facebook where someone was saying, Burate, someone cannot play with you.
You can't play with you again.
You know?
They know they joke with you.
You know, like that song, someone cannot play with you.
Can't bring guns here and there.
You know that song now? My mind just went to that song. Someone cannot play with you again. So they've been driven underground. It's a tough ask for anybody to expect IPOB to come and disrupt this election. In fact, what they are saying, I think they've moderated their stance that, look, we will campaign against people voting. Not to disrupt it.
Okay.
You know, that's
so it has sobered down.
No, yes, because the army effectively clobbered the group. And a group without a symbol being visible is like a group that has had its head cut off. So we are seeing less and less of IPOB now. The governors too came out to say, look, we've rendered this group illegal. So they are no longer. Yeah. When was the last time you saw IPOB gather anywhere? Even in Abia State, where IPOB was such so pestersome. We will no longer see them showing up anywhere. So I do not see IPOB having an impact on this election.
Charles, godfatherism, it's still there?
And no more in Anambra.
You think so?
But it's not as strong as it used to be. Because, you know, when you remember the
debate, is still there.
But how strong is he in this?
No, but we don't know until his candidate wins.
Because you know why? Because when Obiano was able to, APC 21, when Obiano was able to wriggle himself out of the apron string of Obi, that was what served as the death knell to godfatherism in Anambra politics. I can stand to say that. Obiano for now today is his own man. Well, you may say that Tinubu is still, you know, still has somebody putting the.
He has not won until he wins. If he wins, it too can do what they did to. He can do what Sullivan Chime did to Chimaroke Nnamani.
Yeah,
he can do what Nnamani did to Jim Nwobodo.
But again,
he can do what Ebiano did to.
You are not teaching him anything.
No.
Let's not
until he wins. Until he wins, that's what I'm saying.
We can't preempt it. But what I'm saying that for now, unlike in the past, I think the issue of godfatherism, yeah, it may be there, but it's not as strong as it used to be. They may be drumming behind the scene, but they're not easily seen as of today.
It's not time to listen.
Not exactly.
Yeah,
so okay. I think the issue of godfatherism is beginning to find its way out.
Godfathers too have to be careful.
They also have to be careful.
Because everyone wants to be his own man.
To be his own boss, exactly.
The great Nigerian soldier and poet, Mama Vasa said, every man is different because every man is himself.
That's right.
So the governor comes in, he wants to be his own man.
He wants to build his own
He has his own ideas of how to run the state. You can't come and be disturbing him, harassing him, and all that. Wise godfathers, once they are able to install someone,
they take a back seat.
They take a back seat and watch him because you have invested your faith in him from the beginning. Yeah. So you knew that he would be able to do the job.
Yes.
You can't now come and start doing the job for him, as the Yorubas will say that and jokun ele. Abi, no be so that they talk about. I know you get Yoruba proverbs.
For those who don't understand Yoruba, when you give me the goat, leave the leash.
Yes,
that's the thing.
But again, I also say that the issue of the reason why they don't stay back, because they have invested something they need to have returns.
Some of them is greed.
It is the return.
Is always
the greed.
Because they need to have it. How can you justify somebody selling about 5 of his properties, very choice buildings, to contest elections?
That's an investment.
That's an investment. And he wants a return back.
Quickly, we must talk about intra-party squabbles.
Yes, it's always a factor in any election. Let me tell you, even when you look at Bukola Saraki and his dad, they were in the same party. Then there was this disagreement over the choice of Bukola's dad for governor.
Yeah, who succeeds Bukola?
Yes, he wanted Gbemi to
Gbemi
succeed.
is the daughter.
And
The father.
The father, yes.
the father wanted Gbemi to succeed. You know, and Bukola felt, no, we Ilorin had been dominating.
This is my show.
Let us. He was the governor of the state. You know, he had inherited the structures of his dad without the dad knowing it. You know, he now felt, look, Ilorin should take a back seat now. Let us shift to another senatorial zone, and that was the master stroke, because by the time he talked about power shift, even the Offa people who ordinarily do not vote along the same line with the Ilorins, because of the power shift, they supported Bukola's candidate, that was a master stroke against his dad who has undoubted talent in politics. Yeah. So that's why that guy has to be watched.
So in conclusion, tomorrow all roads lead to Anambra. But I'm worried. A staggered election, you're shutting down a state for that election.
Well, I think for now...
We're still a long way from home.
Well, it's sadly so, but I don't think for now we can easily just allow election to run without the heavy presence of the security agencies. Because the issue of ballot snatching is still... Look,
no, but we have talked about electronic voting,
e-voting. E-voting, but you mentioned something earlier that it is not where it's not the voting, the casting of the vote, it is the counting.
But e-voting has an appeal. It's on a whiteboard, you cast the ballot, it is seen.
I think what we need to do...
The result is out of...
I think what we need to do...
As big as India is, as large as India is,
over,
they finish the election...
You know the outcome. But I think what government should be doing is that rather than being afraid that something might happen, why don't we just... maybe the coming after Anambra, no, we can't change Anambra now. The one that is coming next, don't just even deploy at all and see what will happen. We can do that exactly.
Jide, so we wish Anambra well.
We wish them well.
We wish the candidates well.
And let the best one win.
All right, let's take this breather. When we come back, we take you to Zimbabwe. Please don't go away.
My name is Abdullahi Umar Ganouchi, the governor of Kano State. I do watch journalists hang out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
Okay then, welcome back. President Robert Gabriel Mugabe's Zimbabwe is in the news. Now, his enviable credential as the world's most certificated country leader belies his dictatorial tendencies. At 93, he had suddenly lost his steam and fire that brought him to limelight in 1980. Now, having done away with erstwhile allies like Joshua Nkomo, Abel Muzorewa, the course became clear for him to execute his sit-tight agenda. But the Zimbabwean military will have no more of his unrestrained hold on power. On Wednesday, the military announced on national TV that President Mugabe and his family have been confined to their home for their safety, while efforts to arrest some alleged criminals around the government was ongoing. Now, amidst the tension in Zimbabwe, President Muhammadu Buhari has called for calm and respect for the constitution of the country by the military. Jide, are we really sure what the situation is in Zimbabwe as we sit here?
Yeah, to a large extent, we are sure of what is happening. Mugabe came out for the first time since the house arrest today. We attended the graduation ceremony of the Open University in Zimbabwe. But his wife, Grace Gucci Grace, as she's called, some call her the first shopper. Because even amidst the hunger in Zimbabwe and all that, she loves to shop.
Yes.
So no one has seen her since that time. My feeling is that this whole thing, because the military announced that they were in talks with Mugabe with a view to achieving his exit from power. But, you know, Mugabe has been proven very tough for those military guys. But I want to believe that their goal is to ensure that Gucci Grace who was a typist when Mugabe began to romance her in the 1990s.
Oh, come on.
No, this was romance. Yes,
hold on.
He's right.
Let's talk about
the
romantic aspect.
Their goal is to ensure that grace does not succeed in matter. Because grace said something that, look, how about if I became the vice president? And then
just like
shortly
flying
after
a
that,
kite.
Yes, exactly.
Shortly after that, the vice president was sacked and accused of serial betrayal, of being disloyal and all that. So at that point, some people became worried, including guys in the military who were close to the vice president. So I think that that grace herself is central to the resolution of this matter. If Mugabe will agree to sacrifice grace, ensure that he stops giving grace the political legitimacy that it appears she now has within even the party, the ZANU,
and giving her the giving her the grace to feel like a number one, potential number one.
That is the problem. You know, when those soldiers said, look, they want to kick away some criminals around the president, they were referring to Grace and members of G40 faction in the ZANU-PF. So if Grace can be shunted aside, that problem would have been solved. But there is danger for Mugabe himself, because on Tuesday, a parliamentary impeachment may happen. Because there is growing tension in the land and people are calling for him to step down. There is a joke that I told you before the program that and it's a real life experience. Mugabe went to Uganda, and a Ugandan journalist asked him, Mr. President, when are you going to bid the Zimbabwean people goodbye? Mugabe looked at him and said, where are they going?
Goodbye to where?
Where are they going? Is somebody going somewhere?
But he twisted.
Yes, he switched it to his own people.
As if people are living.
Yes, where are my people going that you want me to say goodbye to them? You know?
Charles, let's digress a little bit. Sit-tightism used to be akin to South America. Now it has come home to Africa and found, a safe haven. I have names here. Paul Biya is 84. Theodore Biango Nguema Biya, Cameroon. Basogo is Equatorial Guinea, 75. Yoweri Museveni, 73, Uganda. Omar al-Bashir, 73, Sudan. Isaias Afewaki, 71, Eritrea. Sassou Nguesso, 74, Congo DR. And Abdulaziz Bouteflika, 80, Algeria.
Well, I think,
so what new thing will Mugabe bring to the table at 93?
No. He has seen it all. It's not like somebody who has a bag of tricks. He has emptied his bag of tricks. For me, it's not. If he reaches
the bag,
if he reaches to the bag, he will bring out. He will bring out nothing. And then what is more significant is that look, you can look at the African leadership. When democracy came to Africa to take root, it didn't find its way into our psyche. It didn't. Because it's like, in Africa, when somebody becomes...
That's democracy in the purest form.
The purest form, yeah. In Africa, when Jide becomes the king of his place in Kogi State, for instance, he's expected to be there forever until death.
Does impact.
So the thing is that people who do not have this royal blood in them, once they find power, they arrogate to themselves the power that belongs to a king.
You call it the tyranny of the minority.
Exactly. So that's exactly what's happening. So if they can't be king, and then you now make them a president, they have, to themselves, they have become the king of all.
It's the fear of unknown that.
So they don't know if they live there.
They won't be persecuted.
Exactly, they will be persecuted. So that's exactly what we have. The problem in Africa.
You didn't know one that no African leader has been able to win more Ibrahim.
They won't.
You see, look at the one in Gambia. Even when it became clear that the people are turned against him, he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave.
But
then Buhari sent...
He congratulated his
victor. And he changed his mind and decided to stay. So, but Buhari sent...
It could have been wound.
Yes, now. Buhari sent the Air Force to Gambia. When Sadiq's men, the Chief of Air Staff, when his men decided to fly the F-7 and our
low altitude.
And low altitude.
They flew low on his house.
He knew the game was up.
They flew very low on his house with the F7,
Yes.
our supersonic jet, and the Alpha jet. They flew low that same day.
The man knew it was up. The game was up.
That same day, because you know the sound of a fighter jet, very loud.
Can remove the roof.
The man was terrified. We had to find a way to chase him away. Exactly. Otherwise, he would still be there.
And the people have suffered.
You remember what Museveni said in 1986? When he took over, he said, anyone who stays more than 10 years in office must have overstayed his welcome. That same man has stayed 31 years now.
Maybe the statement was written for him. It didn't quite.
And also grooming his son. He's also grooming his son. So all this dynastic leadership we have in Africa.
Oh, you can go to Togo.
Togo.
That has played out.
Exactly. 35 years, one family.
Gentlemen, but there should be a large notice board. Wanted statesmen in Africa. Where do we erect it?
You know, the thing is that even if we erect it here,
they will choose not to look at it.
They can even if
by themselves they will remove it.
You saw what they said. Mugabe said just now. They can interpret it to themselves.
No, they will even say that I've not left office does not mean I'm not
a statesman. They can interpret it the way it suits them.
Statesman by whose record?
Exactly. So
by whose definition?
And what they usually do is that even right now, you might think that this should serve as a warning to be arrested. But they will tell you, but that happens. This is Cameroon. This is not Zimbabwe.
And Jide, we must quickly talk about this. Followership is at issue here.
Yes, I think that the people can make things happen. Look at what happened in Burkina Faso, for example. The people rose. Here was a man who killed a popular president and installed himself and remained in office almost indefinitely. But the people rose against him, and he had no choice. So I believe the Africans must begin to show their leaders, once they've overstayed, that they are not wanted.
The yellow card.
Yes, that they are not wanted. And mass actions, once they begin to organize mass actions against their leaders, how many people are they going to kill? Ultimately, leaders will leave when they should leave.
And it happened here when it was touted allegedly, that President Obasanjo was going to elongate his stay.
Well, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked.
That's what we are saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so.
But I think, look,
that's your last take
okay, no problem. The people, especially in Africa, where you have multiplicity of ethnic groups. If, for instance, you are facing, particularly somebody is there now, then you have Yoruba there. Then Yoruba is now, they say, oh, it's against our. Exactly. Yeah. So that's exactly why, in most cases, that you cannot have this unity of voices.
They want to disgrace our son out of power.
Yeah.
If it's Yoruba person there, you say, oh, it's against Yoruba interest, against Igbo interest, against Kikuyu
Even
interest.
If he had not used that position
to better the loss of
the
people. So it's always a problem here in Africa.
All right, folks. The debate must continue, but let me thank Babajide Otitoji for his time.
Thank you so much.
People believe you are a bundle of knowledge, and just why not? Write a book, we'll present it. Okay?
I'll give it a try.
I will edit it.
I'll give it a try.
Charles, you edit
for free.
For
free, because I don't have money.
All right, then. That's it on the Hangout this evening. Join us next week for another interesting episode. And, of course, you have a repeat this evening at 11. You are familiar with all the portals. Join us. Watch the repeat, as I just said, at 11 tonight. Also, watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen, and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvc.tv. I'm Jones Hussein. Enjoy your weekend and good night.